What are affective disorders? Symptoms of depression and anxiety are often categorized under a term affective disorders. But what exactly do we mean by an affective disorder? Is it a disease, a chemical imbalance, or an abstract mentalized emotional state? If you are thinking that disorders like depression and anxiety are diseases, then you will seek to cure the diseases that are causing the symptoms. If you're thinking in a linear, causal, cause and effect fashion, then you will look for and want to resolve those things that are causing the disorder. If, however, your thinking is more systemic, then an affective disorder is seen as an emergent expression of a set of interacting elements. An emergent property is something different than the contributing elements and so may not directly indicate what the elements are. An affective disorder is an outcome, not a cause, and acts to alert the individual that a problem or problems need a response. From the systems thinking perspective, we become consciously aware of the symptoms to stimulate deliberate self-directed action. There is a point at which our innate or our non-conscious problem-solving mechanisms need some conscious action to help solve a problem. For example, the feeling of hunger. So it emerges in our conscious awareness to stimulate us to move our bodies toward food and go to the fridge. Now, most of the time, we're not aware of what we actually need to eat, of the actual elements that our body is looking for. Systems, however, can be confusing when the hungry message is not just about the need to eat, but something else. It can be, for example, because of insulin resistance or perhaps a negative mood that's looking for an increase in serotonin levels by eating refined sugars like chocolate. A person's system is utilizing eating-related mechanisms to sound the alarm for some reason. Another example is pain, which draws our attention to an area of our body or a behavior that warrants our attention and a response. And don't forget that pain isn't just about physical ailments, but can result from social rejection or relationship tensions. So affective disorders are a message to attend to something that's going wrong and possibly enlist some conscious help. Affective disorders also indicate a context for the concern. Depression is pointing to an issue around sadness or shame or self-worth or feelings of a pointless future. Anxiety may highlight a person's concern and fears about the future or failure or maybe social pressures or expectations. An affective disorder is both a message and a starting point for therapeutic exploration. Now, the British Psychological Society's report, Understanding Depression, they argue that depression is best thought of as an experience or a set of experiences rather than a disease. The experience we call depression is a form of distress. The depth of distress itself, as well as the contributing events and circumstances, can be life-changing and even life-threatening. However, calling it an illness is not only one way of thinking about it, with advantages and disadvantages. For many people, depression is unlikely to be the result of an underlying biological disease process or chemical imbalance in the brain and nervous system. Even if there are changes in the brain, when people are depressed, these are often consequences, not primary causes. After all mental states have psychological and biochemical elements. Whilst, of course, our brains are involved in all experiences, the reason for depression are usually complex and include the events and circumstances of people's lives and the way they can respond to them. So this begs the question, what is distress? Well, life constantly presents us with demands, which we respond to and hopefully resolve. This is the nature of demand, stress, resolve, response. Robert Sapolsky wrote about this in Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, where he showed that when demands are resolved, there is little residual or compounding stress. Unresolved demands create a chronic activation of the HPA axis, which is persistent pressure on the sympathetic nervous system to produce cortisol. The debilitating effect is not stress, but distress. our biology automatically seeks to create a stable state called homeostasis. When there is arousal from demands, desires, needs, and threats, our biology shifts to a flexible and adaptive process to re-establish a stable state. The degree of impact on physiological and psychological systems is called allostatic load. When allostatic load is high and or extends for long periods of time, it literally creates wear and tear on the body and its systems, including the immune system, the endocrine system, and the autonomic nervous system. Too much load for too long leads to a deterioration in physiological and psychological systems. This leaves people vulnerable to a range of neurobiological disruptions and dysfunctions, including major depression and anxiety. In healthy situations, the stressor is successfully dealt with and we switch off the allostatic response. This is why zebras don't get ulcers, but all too many humans do. So look out for more of these videos where we will explore depression and anxiety specifically as two of the most common affective disorders. We also cover bipolar disorder because the affective states of mania and depression are the two poles of bipolar disorder, but we also appreciate that bipolar is much more complex than a simple affective disorder. Remember, affective conditions are best thought of as an experience or a set of experiences rather than a disease or perhaps even a disorder. Thank you for tuning in to the Science of Psychotherapy. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell so that we can reach more people and bring you more Science of Psychotherapy. And if you're a mental health professional, check us out at thescienceofpsychotherapy.com.